Next topic. BAS Bootcamp, Day 13. Point extensions, alarms and trends. JJ Boss presents, BAS Bootcamp, Day 13, alarms, trends and total chaos inside the airbagged Impala. A Niagara 4 plus BACnet street lesson with the Chicas. Location, JJ's compressed air supercharger 64 Impala, bagged and braced for battle. Let me tell y'all something, if you thought Day 12 was wild, buckle up and grip that suede steering wheel, cause Day 13 is where we go full tilt with point extensions, alarms, and trends. In the cockpit tonight we got the whole girl gang ride-in with me, Leah G, strapped in front passenger, ride-in shotgun with her laptop wired into the BACnet MSTP port, twist and dip switches like they're braided pigtails. Miriam McKay, sitting sideways in the back seat, feet on the dash, mapping trends faster than this Impala hits boost. Sky B, crouched in the trunk like the trunk monkey she is, monitoring the Code 2 trend logs with a handheld interface. Tweedle Lady Z and Tweedle Sandra Z, both riding in the hydraulic tank bay, keeping that airbagged suspension dialed to float mode so we don't bottom out in the chaos. This ain't no cruise. This right here is Niagara 4 Bootcamp, Street Smart Edition. What's a point extension, JJ? Think of a point like a turbo. It moves air, but you bolt on a compressed air supercharger, aka extension, and now you're making that motor sing. Point extensions in Niagara 4 give your BACnet points extra muscle. And let me break it down simple style, street racer style. We got three main types of extensions in today's race. Alarm extensions, when that coolant temp spikes or zone air temp drops below freezing, this baby screams louder than a burnout on bald tires. History, trend, extensions, captures your performance logs like your dash cam after a quarter-mile launch. Totalizations, bonus, keeps the running count like laps at the drag strip, but we'll get to that later. Alarms, when stuff goes boom. We pulled up the zone temp point, and Leah G slapped on an out-of-range extension like a new NOS bottle. Here's how we tune it: high alarm, 78F low alarm, 65F deadband. Optional. Only used if you're a softie. Fault text, zone temp too dang hot. Off normal. Freezing like Lady Z in January. Now, why alarms matter: when that Impala's air tank gets too hot, you don't wait till it explodes. Same with your building. Alarms help you catch that heat creep before it roasts your compressors. Trend extensions, the street dyno of BAS. Now we toss in a history extension, also known as a trend log in most manufacturer software. Sky B flipped the rear trunk switch, and we started logging every 10 seconds. Like she said, we ain't logging dreams, baby, we log in zone temps and damper commands. Setup, interval, 10 seconds. Capacity, 1000 records. Rollover when full? Yes. No excuses. View, live trending chart result, beautiful temp curve flatter than a Kansas back road. JJ tip, zone temps? Use interval trends. Discharge pressure? Use change of value trends. That pressure spikes like a drag tree countdown track only when it matters. Occupancy equals no false alarms. Lady Z in the tank bay said, what if ain't nobody in the building but alarms going off like popcorn? Simple. We wire up a Boolean writable that inhibits alarms based on occupancy. Like flipping the kill switch when the car ain't on the track. You don't cry wolf when there ain't a wolf in the house. JJ's Chaos Checklist, feature function. Real world example: alarm extension notifies when temps are out of bounds. Zone temp equals hot or cold. History extension tracks performance over time like a dyno chart for HVAC. Alarm inhibit prevents nuisance alarms during unoccupied times like muting the crew radio. Off track wrap it up like racing tape. Miriam McKay tossed in that last writable point, and just like that, the whole system smarter than a tuned ECU. You discover your point, bolt on the extensions, fire up trends, set alarms, write logic, avoid chaos. Except around here, we embrace the chaos, chaos level 10, baby. Next stop, We're about to wire up logic tighter than Sky BS shoelaces before a burnout. You got questions? Drop 'em faster than a launch on sticky tires. We'll see y'all tomorrow when we dive into point logic plus wire sheets. Stay bagged. Stay boosted. Stay best. JJ the Boss and the Chicas of Niagara for Alice's alarmingly silly adventure in Wonderland down the rabbit hole of beeps, trends, and total chaos. One perfectly boring afternoon, Alice was reading the world's dullest book about alarms when zoom, the white rabbit sprinted past, his pocket watch flashing alarm. Alarm, as he shouted, I'm late. My trends are broken. My extensions won't extend. Before Alice could ask what's an extension, she tumbled after him and landed in Alarm Wonderland, where everything beeped and nothing made sense. The Mad Hatter's Beeper Tea Party. Alice found the Mad Hatter, March Hare, and Dormouse having tea at a table made of broken alarm bells. Welcome to the Alarm Tea Party, the Hatter cackled, pouring tea that kept switching between loud and louder. We take our alarms with extra beeps here. The Dormouse was asleep inside a speaker, snoring, zzz, high limit, zzz, dead band, zzz. Alice sipped from a cup labeled Drink Me, 120 dB max honk. Her nose turned into a flashing alarm light. The Cheshire Cat's confusing alert. The Cheshire Cat appeared but only his eyes and a notification bubble. I'm your alarm extension, he grinned. Sometimes I'm critical, mostly I'm just annoying. Alice tried to silence him. Beep beep beep, the sound made her shoes vibrate. Tweedledee and Tweedledum's alarm fight. Tweedledee and Tweedledum were wrestling over a giant alarm button. High limit first, screamed Dee, setting it to 1000 F. Low limit first, shrieked Dum, setting it to -500 F. The Queen of Hearts stormed in waving a snooze button. Off with their alarms, she roared. The King sighed, just acknowledge them, dear. The Griffin and Mock Turtle's trend song they danced singing, log it here, log it there, log it everywhere. If the trend goes flat today, someone turn the sensor away. Suddenly kaboom, the Duchess's flamingo ate the trend log, making all the temperature lines dance the cha-cha. The playing cards notification nightmare. The Ace of Spades tried silencing 100 alarms at once. Brrrring. His hat turned into a flashing siren. I'm in alarm hell, he cried as the Knave of Hearts stole his mute button. Alice fixes things, sort of. Alice ate a magic mushroom labeled snooze and drank from a bottle that said acknowledge all. She grew quiet and reset the Mad Hatter's broken clock, which was really a BMS alarm panel. Silence. Everything calmed down. The White Rabbit cheered, the Cheshire Cat reappeared, still blinking, and the Queen declared, now we play croquet with trend charts. The end? Or just until the next fault occurs. Remember kids, alarms are like the White Rabbit, always late and loud. Trends are like the Mad Hatter, completely unpredictable. Notifications are like the Queen, one wrong move and off with your piece. P.S. Don't let the Jabberwock near your alarm settings, he'll set everything to critical. Next time, Alice's Logic Adventure, where wires cross and dampers go wild. Next topic. BAS Bootcamp, Day 14. BAS Graphics Types and Setup. BAS Bootcamp Day 14, Graphics Mayhem in the Airbagged Impala presented by JJ the Boss with the Niagara 4 Chicas Rollin' Deep Dive. JJ the Boss here, and we ride in 180 miles per hour into day 14 of this BAS Bootcamp. Compressed air blow-off valves hissing, airbag slammed to the pavement, and all our Chicas locked in and loaded in the Niagara 4 supercharged lowrider Impala, baby. Now today's topic. Graphics. The chrome-dipped paint job of your BAS system. You can have all the points, alarms, and logic in the world, but if your graphic ain't clean, your user's gonna be lost like the Tweedle twins after 3 NOS hits. Where my Chicas at? We got the full Niagara 4 ride or die crew in position, Leah G up front, passenger side, riding shotgun with the PX editor laptop open, sunglasses on, chewing gum like she trends data for sport. Miriam McKay sits rear left, running change of value heat maps on her tablet, hair flying wild like a rogue BACnet loop. Sky B in the middle of the back seat, feet on the amp, laying down trend logs like they're mixtapes. Tweedle Lady Z and Tweedle Sandra Z in the trunk, surrounded by spare thermostats and override switches, eating hot chips and arguing over template graphics. All of this riding on airbagged suspension, slammed to the asphalt, with Niagara 4 turbocharged by Tridium's BACnet powered compressed air supercharger. It's loud. It's wild. It's chaos level 10, baby. What the heck is a graphic? A graphic in your BAS? That's the dashboard, the visual symphony, the thing building ops stare at during lunch breaks pretending they working. There's 3 major types of graphics you're gonna see when you bust open that PX editor and hit the gas. Homepage graphics, think bird's eye view, the overview of the whole dang facility. It's your Impala's hood ornament sets the tone. Floor plan graphics, shows layout, kinda like GPS with sensors. Like seeing which chica got left in the janitor wing. Equipment graphics, VOBs, AHUs, boilers, the nitty gritty. This is like popping the hood on your blower and checking temps, pressures, and airflow. Template graphics, aka alias/relativized, now let me break it down like lowrider hydraulics. A template graphic is a universal layout. One graphic, many devices. The points are relativized like saying yo, pull data from this controller, whoever it is. In our Impala, this is like using a universal phone charger. It don't care if it's an iPhone or Android, it adapts. Niagara calls this relativized, but we just call it Tweedle logic cause it keeps everybody in sync without hardwiring a dang thing. But here's the kicker, you go trying to slap a reheat valve graphic into that template and boom, now every VOB box on the block thinks it's a humidity warrior. You just threw NOS in your grandma's Buick. So instead, how do you edit graphics without blowing the gasket? Option 1, copy that graphic, take the template, make a duplicate. Now you got yourself a custom unit graphic. Add your reheat coil. Bind it manually or use aliases if you feelin' fancy. Option 2, hard bind the points, no relativizing. Just point to the real device like you point to Miriam when you want that override turned off. More work up front, but it's precision tuning. User experience. Keep it 3 clicks or less. Now listen up, race fans, JJ's rule of 3 applies. If it takes more than 3 clicks to change a dang set point, your interface is slower than a cold carburetor. Example, click 1, from homepage to AHU. Click 2, into the schedule. Click 3, change the temp or fan speed. Boom. Done. Just like switching boost pressure mid-run. Behind the scenes, PX editor mayhem, so Sky B clicks the VOB graphic button. What happens? The graphic knows what controller it's looking at. The alias points come alive like compressed air hissin' through a line. She overrides the damper to 50%, colors change, alarms prep to shout, and the VFD starts actin' twitchy like a cat on NOS. Then she hits auto, and the system snaps back to default faster than Sandra Z duckin' out of a code review. Recap time, like a pit stop checklist graphic type description, pros cons, home overall site view quick glance, intuitive basic floor plan layout, visual spatial awareness, needs mapping, template, aliased, one graphic, many units, efficient, scalable, hard to customize, standard, hardbound, each unit has its own flexible, detailed, time consuming. So there it is, why all JJ's breakdown of BAS Graphics, Niagara 4 style. We ain't just drawing coils, we designing performance. This Impala ain't gonna ride pretty unless the graphics shine like chrome. So stay wild, stay compressed, and remember, don't be hardbound when you can flex. Catch y'all next time on day 15, where override battles meet schedule warfare in the front seat of our BACnet blasted Impala. JJ Dub Boss, and the Niagara Chicas out. Alice's graphic-tastic adventure in Wonderland down the rabbit hole of dashboards, displays, and total madness. One perfectly boring afternoon, Alice was reading the world's dullest book about building graphics when zoom, the white rabbit sprinted past, his pocket watch flashing graphic error, as he shouted, "I'm late. My templates are broken. My aliases won't alias." Before Alice could ask what's an alias, she tumbled after him and landed in graphic wonderland, where everything was colorful and nothing worked right. The Mad Hatter's Pixel Tea Party. Alice found the Mad Hatter, March Hare, and Dormouse having tea at a table made of broken computer screens. "Welcome to the PX Editor Tea Party," the Hatter cackled, pouring tea that kept changing colors. "We take our graphics with extra pixels here." The Dormouse was asleep inside a mouse cursor, snoring, "ZZZ, homepage, ZZZ, floor plan, ZZZ." Alice clicked on a teacup labeled "Drink Me," RGB mode flash. Her dress turned into a glitchy GIF. The Cheshire Cat's confusing display. The Cheshire Cat appeared, but only his smile and a loading icon. "I'm your template graphic," he grinned. "Sometimes I work, mostly I'm missing assets." Alice tried to drag him. Error, her hand got stuck in a buffering loop. Tweedledee and Tweedledum's graphic fight. Tweedledee and Tweedledum were wrestling over a giant touch screen. "Hard bind everything," screamed Dee, making 100 identical graphics. "Alias everything," shrieked Dum, making nothing work right. The Queen of Hearts stormed in, waving a stylus. "Off with their layers," she roared. The King sighed, "Just use templates, dear." The Griffin and Mock Turtle's design song. They danced singing, "Drag and drop, click and pray, why won't this graphic load today? If the alias breaks in two, say goodbye to all your views." Suddenly glitch, the Duchess's flamingo ate the color palette, turning everything hot pink. The playing cards UI disaster. The Ace of Spades tried making a responsive design pop. His screen turned into soup. "I'm not mobile friendly," he cried as the Knave of Hearts stole his CSS file. "Alice fixes things, sort of." Alice ate a magic mushroom labeled Ctrl+Z and drank from a bottle that said "Clear Cache." She grew pixelated and reset the Mad Hatter's broken monitor, which was really a BMS workstation. Refresh. Everything looked normal-ish. The White Rabbit cheered, the Cheshire Cat reappeared, still low res, and the Queen declared, "Now we play croquet with pie charts." The end? Or just until the next software update? Remember kids, homepages are like the White Rabbit, always running somewhere. Templates are like the Mad Hatter, crazy but efficient. Aliases are like the Cheshire Cat, here 1 second, gone the next. P.S. Don't let the Jabberwock near your design files, he'll set everything to Comic Sans. Next time, Alice's Override Adventure, where buttons don't work and setpoints rebel. Next topic. BAS Bootcamp, Day 15. User Roles and Access. JJ BAS presents, BAS Bootcamp Day 15, User Roles and Access. Control location, inside the Airbagged, compressed air supercharged 64 Impala with Niagara 4 Chicas. We ain't just set in user roles, we tune in them like boost maps on the strip. Alright y'all, it's day 15 of BAS Bootcamp, and lemme tell you, today's lesson ain't for the faint of heart. We're diving headfirst into user roles, access levels, and backups like we're tuning a 1,500 horsepower blower car on race day. Hold on tight, chaos levels about to hit 10. The crew ride in shotgun. This whole ride takes place inside the Niagara 4 framework Impala, boosted with a BACnet supercharger and sit-in pretty on quad-link airbagged suspension, because we adjust everything, including our elevation and security protocols, baby. Here's how the Chicas are riding. Leah G, the logic enforcer riding shotgun, handling permissions like a digital pit chief. Miriam McKay, misread/right backseat passenger side, controls user access like she's tuning fuel maps. Sky B, the cyber sentinel middle seat in the back, guarding the whole system like it's her race trailer. Tweedle Lady Z and Tweedle Sandra Z, hopped up in the trunk, where backups go, set in policies like fire suppression protocols before a nitrous hit. What we talking about today? User accounts, baby. Permissions. Roles. Access control. And the backups that make sure you ain't blowing your build on race day. If you've ever let your buddy behind the wheel without checking their license, you already know why this is important. User accounts, who's got the keys? In Niagara 4, every Chica gets her own set of keys. We don't do that shared account business. That's like letting every driver in town take your car for a test hit down the 1320 with no cameras rolling. No audit trail, no accountability. Here's how we roll: each user equals one custom-tuned profile. Everyone logs in with their own password. No shared building operator accounts. If you're still doing that, you might as well leave the shop doors wide open. Access rights equals supercharger boost maps inside our digital supercharger. Access rights determine how much boost you give each user, read only. You spectatin'. Right access. You tunin' the whole dang system. No access? Go sit back down in the bleachers, son. Leah G manages this like she said in a two-step revlometer. You don't get full throttle unless you earn it. Granular access, chaos level, 10. Let's say someone like Tweedle Lady Z wants to tweak the PID loop on a VOB box. If you ain't given her explicit access, she's stuck outside the launch control. That's good, because one wrong change, and your whole building goes sideways like a wheelie gone wrong. So what we do is assign roles, then map them to specific points. Just like in a race car, you don't touch the nitrous unless you know what you're doing. Backups, because as built ain't just a suggestion. Sky B, don't let a day go by without checking the backup system in the trunk. We ain't talking about random zip files, we're talking scheduled backups, point persistence, and data restore plans like contingency fuel maps on race night. You ever reboot a system and all the tuning's gone? That's what happens when you don't persist your variables. Especially if your system ain't got persistent memory, you need backups like you need a fire suit, not optional. Active Directory and passwords, lock it down now. If your customer's got Active Directory, plug in like you're syncing your dash to your ECU. Make user setup fast and safe. If not, strong passwords, expiry dates, auto logouts, and never let old drivers keep garage access. JJ's 3 rules of access control: unique users only. Everyone gets their own ride, no shared credentials. Lock it down tight. Give access like you're handing over nitrous, only when you trust em. Back it up. Every change gets saved, or you'll end up with a Frankenstein system nobody can tune. Final thoughts from the pit lane: setup roles like you're laying out a build sheet, clear, tight, and made for speed. And backups? That's like changing the oil and checking your parachutes, do it regular or wreck it all. So next time someone says, just let me log in real quick, you look em in the eye and say, not unless you sit in where Sky B says you can. This ain't no amateur pass. Stay boosted, stay airbagged, stay safe. JJ the Boss and the Niagara 4 Chicas out. Want the bootcamp for day 16? Say the word and we'll bring the chaos. Alice's absolutely absurd access control adventure in Wonderland down the rabbit hole of passwords, permissions, and pure madness. One dreadfully dull afternoon, Alice was reading the world's most boring security manual when zoom, the white rabbit sprinted past, his pocket watch flashing unauthorized access, as he shrieked, "I'm late. My credentials expired. My backups failed." Before Alice could say password 123, she tumbled after him and landed in security wonderland, where nothing was secure and everything was absurdly vulnerable. The Mad Hatter's password tea party. Alice found the Mad Hatter, March Hare, and Dormouse having tea at a table made of broken firewalls. "Welcome to the authentication tea party," the Hatter cackled, pouring tea that kept changing between admin and guest modes. "We take our passwords with 12 characters minimum here." The Dormouse was snoozing inside a keyboard, Snoring, ZZZ. 123,456, ZZZ, password, ZZZ. Alice sipped from a cup labeled Drink Me, pseudo access spoof. Her arms turned into SSH keys. The Cheshire Cat's confusing credentials. The Cheshire Cat appeared, but only his smile and a blinking cursor. I'm your root account, he grinned. Sometimes I work, mostly I'm locked out. Alice tried to log in as him access denied, her fingers got stuck in a captcha loop. Tweedledum and Tweedledummer's access fight. Tweedledee and Tweedledum were wrestling over a giant security token. Everyone gets admin rights, screamed Dee, handing out passwords like candy. Nobody gets access, shrieked Dum, locking everything with 256-bit encryption. The Queen of Hearts stormed in waving a biometric scanner. Off with their permissions, she roared. The King sighed, just use role-based access, dear. The Griffin and Mock Turtle's backup song they danced singing, back it up, or you'll be in bad luck. If the server crashes down, all your data's gone to town. Suddenly kaboom, the Duchess's flamingo ate the backup drive, making all the system logs turn into limericks. The playing card security disaster. The Ace of Spades tried setting a password policy pop. All the passwords changed to guessed. I've been pawned, he cried as the Knave of Hearts stole his security questions. Alice fixes things, kinda. Alice ate a magic mushroom labeled Factory Reset and drank from a bottle that said Force Password Change. She grew encrypted and rebooted the Mad Hatter's broken clock, which was really a domain controller. Welcome. Everything asked for two-factor authentication. The White Rabbit cheered, the Cheshire Cat reappeared, still needing a password reset, and the Queen declared, now we play croquet with firewall rules. The end? Or just until the next zero-day exploit? Security lessons from Wonderland. Passwords are like the White Rabbit, always expiring when you're late. Permissions are like the Mad Hatter, completely nonsensical. Backups are like the Queen, off with their heads if you forget them. P.S. Don't let the Jabberwock near your server, he'll brute force your credentials in seconds. Next time, Alice's firewall fiasco, where ports slam shut and VPNs vanish. Next topic. BAS Bootcamp, Day 16. BAS Programming Overview Part 1. BAS Bootcamp, Day 16, JJ on BAS Programming. Niagara 4 Framework meets compressed air supercharger madness. Alright, buckle up buttercups, this Impala ain't waitin' on nobody, especially not when the airbagged suspension sit-in slammed and the compressed air superchargers screamin' louder than Tweedlezee's playlist at 4 a.m. JJ Boss. Today we on day 16 of this here building automation bootcamp, and we steppin' into the engine bay of the beast programming. I'm talkin' about graphical logic, Boolean fire, and analog madness, y'all. This ain't no spreadsheet cruise, this is NOS-fueled chaos on four wheels of digital logic. The BAS battle wagon lineup, seats and rolls in the Impala, Leah G, up front passenger seat, feet on the dash, managing Boolean logic like it's a high-speed drift. She's all true or false, baby ain't no maybe in my lane. Miriam McKay, backseat left, sit-in on a crate of PID loops, shout in analog values into the supercharger as she fine-tunes temperature dampers and economizer loops. Sky B, right rear seat, tangled in wires and point names, rename in logic blocks mid-race with a label gun like she's tagging street signs. Tweedle twins, Lady Z and Sandra Z, they in the trunk, don't ask how, sit in on backup drives and shout in persist it or lose it. They handle backups like bouncers at a nightclub for rogue variables. BAS programming, the race fuel of building automation. We ain't talkin' about no dusty, command line code here, we sling in logic blocks in Niagara 4, Tridium style. This is graphical programming, no keyboard wizardry, just drag, drop, and hold on for dear life. Graphical logic, like gaskets in the supercharger, graphical blocks let us build programs visually, just like bolt-in on boost to an old school 454. We ain't guessin', we follow sequences. Boolean logic, latching, if this and that, then hit the fan relay like nitrous. Analog logic, Miriam McKay, get that PID loop right or you'll overheat faster than a burnout in July. JJ's programming process, gas pedal down style, inputs and outputs, first, plug the sensors and valves in. Like hooking up your nitrous and making sure the purge is tight. Set points, establish targets like 68 degrees Fahrenheit in the pit or 55% RH in the trailer. Just like setting tire pressure. Boolean logic, this on, that off. Like Leah saying hit the fan if it's occupied and not freezing outside. Analog logic, PID control y'all. It ain't just on/off, it's how much boost goes where. That's where the preheat valve gets real. Design patterns, not just for t-shirts. Programming ain't guesswork. It's recognizing patterns like a street racer spots bad welds on a roll cage. Comparative pattern, if outside air temp,